Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. Happy Wednesday. At least I believe it's Wednesday. So happy Wednesday to everyone out there. Always wishing you well over here from Helsinki, Finland. Let's waste no time and get into the live scene right over here, right now. Bitcoin actually not doing too much in the overnight hour, a little bit of a move, but now we actually do have something to really be aware of. So in the lower time frame is right over here. I'm just going to kind of skip through this actually, but go to my BitMEX chart, my BitMexican chart right over here. We do have what looks to be a nice symmetrical triangle going on right over here. So finally something has presented itself. This is what I've been waiting for. This is what I've been looking for. And you know how I usually say timing these sorts of things is quite the bitch? Well, this is essentially giving us some sort of a resolution on that. Whichever way that this one breaks, and yes, I do like triangles. Triangles are fucking awesome. At least they are. At least they have a pretty damn good degree to play out on cryptocurrency. I've noticed, especially Bitcoin. So as soon as we get resolution on this guy, I would be taking a trade off that. I will be taking a trade off that as well. I actually did take a trade on this guy right over here. We spoke about this coming into yesterday's morning video. Once he broke up above this 37.40ish area right over here, there just wasn't anything stopping me from about 38.40, and just to kind of verify myself on that. Let's go. I actually don't have my perps up right now, so you can't see the session realized. But if we go down right over here, let's see if I can actually show this on my trades. Let's see. You can see where my stops are. There you go. Should be right around there. You can see my sells. Come on, baby. Show me my buys. There you go. So yeah, bought some at 37.40, 37.50, 90,000 contracts. I don't know, it's like 30 or like 20 or so, or I don't 20 or 30 bitcoins, whatever the fuck it was, and then sold about $50 higher. Again, I actually wasn't awake when the move itself happened, so when I woke up, Bitcoin was kind of right around here, and I decided to sell them off. I don't really want to have a position, an active position, until we get resolution on this. Yes, I am, holding my short from 6,300 still. But I will cover that. I will cover that plus some, and I will go actually, I'll be a little bit net long if we do take out this area right over here. Measure move on this guy, if broken up to the upside, would be taking us to about a little bit under 4,100 right over here. In fact, I love it how it lines up just beautifully with this former past resistance. Now there will be some along the way if it does break up, and again, remember, a symmetrical triangle is like an equal opportunity social justice warrior pattern that can break to the upside or downside equally, there will be resistance along the way. Kind of your initial guide to be aware of is 38.35. As long as you're below there, no confirmation on break to the upside. Then you got this guy right over here, the 3,900 area, even. Also, the purple 200 exponential lining up with this area very, very well. So I do like that. And then above there, it's free skies until about 4,100. So a very nice play to be made if it does indeed actually break up to the upside. By the way, you will notice that if it does take out and does actually trigger this event, it'll also line up with a break of the 382 Fibonacci right over here. So I do like that. Now, if it breaks out to the downside, well, there's an equally good play to be made all the way down to about 34.50ish area right over here. Same thing, you're gonna have support along the way, bounce along the way. One right over here, although we could say this is kind of a zone right here, and really the more important one is this 35.70 area. And really what I could do and what I should do is actually move this guy up and say, hey, confirmation on this guy would be, an hourly diddle closing below 36.70 right over here, 36.69 actually more accurately because it's just a better number. But somewhere right around here, that would also be a break the 0.5 right over here. So you can see Bitcoin's really starting to consolidate, really do that like fumigator that I like to make the analogy of. And, it's getting pretty damn close to resolution. You actually can get a time frame on this just because at some point you will be at the apex of this triangle right over here. That would be January 5th. By the way, what is that day? It's proof of fucking keys, whatever the fuck that means, just like a made-up holiday like some other ones, which if I say the social justice warriors are not going to like that, but you probably know what I'm thinking of. But hey, it's still legit. We have a fucking holiday for New Year's. It's like it doesn't even matter, But hey, by the way, happy 2019. But it's like it doesn't even matter. It's just another fucking day. But hey, my point is that proof of keys, man. I have a great, I shouldn't say great, but I have a conspiracy theory about this bitch right over here. What if this whole proof of keys things is just orchestrated to get everyone's coins off the exchanges while price dumps really fucking hard, and then what are you gonna do? You can't sell them, so it's like, oh shit, now I have to wait another fucking hour to put my bitcoins back in the exchange, and then I can actually sell. By the time that happens, Bitcoin's all the way down around here. Maybe. Now, there is a big counterpoint to what I'm saying, and looking for clues within this guy right over here. Yeah, I do lean to the downside. Yeah, I do, just because that is our former trend. We are, we've been making lower highs for the last literally over a year. But hey, there is a counterpoint to that right now. Mr. Butyrol is actually putting in a very different formation than Bitcoin right now. Actually, let's go to my BitMexican chart right over here because I think I have a little bit more done up. There we go. And let's go to maybe like an 8-hour. I think this is where I made it. Yeah, there we go. So resistance right over here, but overall you can see that Mr. Butyrol looks significantly different, actually taking a leg up above your 200 exponential, even on your 8-hour. I'm going to believe that your 4 hours, yeah, it's actually supporting price right now. So Mr. Butyrol does make me think that something else is going on. Now, this is event driven. There is some sort of like a fork going on. It's not one of the forks that I think a lot of people are familiar with, where you get the free coins and, people buy in before that because, it's like, oh my God, free coins. And then I'm going to become rich because I'm going to have like 2 worthless chains. Just kidding. But you know what I mean. So, what's going on over here? Well, again, just playing the charts. You have a very obvious area to be aware of. I think best seen perhaps on a daily right over here, where it looks like Mr. Butyrol is taking this leg up right over here. And really, while it is in the thick of this next resistance cluster at around 149-ish area, don't really see too much stopping it from about 156. So again, that would be a contra to what I'm saying with Bitcoin likely breaking to the downside. So again, there is actually a legitimate case to be made for the bull side right over here. As you'll know, though, if Bitcoin does break this one up to the upside, again, it won't be making higher highs or anything like that. It'll just be still filling out this area. We don't really have anything new going on until you actually take out this area right over here around 4250, 4300-ish area. And there's also another big counterpoint as well. I'm going to bring up Kraken, which is largely an irrelevant exchange. However, there has been some really weird and strange price action going on. And you'll get these massive wicks every once in a while, and they actually do have a good history of being preludes to what typically occurs in price action. So there was actually a wick up to about 4,500 in the overnight session. I guess when I was sleeping, maybe you were awake, but this is. This has done it before, where it essentially gives you that price action and tells you what's going to happen beforehand when you get these crazy wicks either which way. So could this be your initial signal? It could be. It could be, but again, I'd still be playing the triangle. This would be suggesting that we probably do break it up to the upside and probably do get to around this 4,500 area. That would make kind of sense to me if this thing does really start breaking up. If you get past 4,300, 4,500 is the next big area to be aware of. I think we can go back on over here to our BitMexican exchange, and yeah, you can see that once you break out this area right over here, not much stopping you from about the 4,550-ish area, which is exactly where Mr. Kraken found himself on that wick. So again, that would be very, very good for the overall bigger accounts, just because when it comes down to it, this next phase of the market cycle is very tricky, right? It's very, very tricky because this is very corrective price action. The low is very unlikely to be in. We can go over that later. I know that's a little bit annoying to be repeating, but I want to repeat that for the people who might be tuning into this content for the first time, or just want to repeat it because I think it's good to repeat, just for myself as well. But overall, this price action to me tells me that the low is not in. So this next phase is very, very is like the tricky part. Where is the next top going to be put in? Now, of course, we do have a lower high right over here, right around 4,250. So you'd imagine that Bitcoin probably puts in a lower high, but if it does get to 4,550, that would be very, very good because it gets in all of the perma bulls. Once again, everyone who thinks that there's an inverted head and shoulders in this price action, which I strongly disagree with. Not only is the shape wrong, the volume's wrong, and the overall psychology of this being an inverted head and shoulders is wrong. Again, people will go on to Investopedia thinking that, because they read a fucking page-long article on the inverted head and shoulders reversal pattern, that they're a goddamn expert now. No, not at all. Understand that there's, patterns in general, they're not just patterns that just appear up on your charts. This sounds a little bit weird now, but it's a psychological feeling as well. That's really the more important thing of it. It's a psychology of a loss of momentum, and then essentially a reversal. So a loss of momentum, and then basically the other forces take over. Now, do we see that on the charts right here right now? again, I don't really see such, because when you actually put in your put in your potential right neckline right over here, not your right shoulder but your right neckline, the volume characteristics the volume characteristics would be wrong in that. They would be disagreeing with that, and you'd really want to be pushing up higher than what you did on your left hand neckline, if that makes sense. So again, this looks a lot more corrective to me than anything. Perhaps we could be making a trend line right around here, and in fact, that would make a lot of sense now, wouldn't it? Because if Bitcoin actually does break this upwards and onwards, well, it would just, you would very likely just be hitting this guy right over here, right around 4100-ish area. Also, the measure move on this guy. And that, that could just put in another lower high for Bitcoin. Of course, if Bitcoin does go to 4,500, that will be creating a higher high. Gets all the inverted head and shoulders, great people into the market, and thinking that this thing moons on from there. But there's a lot of, that's why this next part is very, very tricky, because if Bitcoin does break up, this is going to be the obvious sell right around 4,100, or sorry, the obvious trade to be taken. Of course, nothing is 100%, but when it comes down to trading, this would be where I'm looking to, put on risk. By the same token, if you do take out that area, then you have a lot of resistances along the way, but actually making it all the way to 4,500 is certainly not out of the question. And then you actually do have to be considering something else that is in the charts. I don't believe that we have an inverted head and shoulders here, but we do have a descending broadening wedge, which actually does have a pretty damn good degree of playing out on Bitcoin. I've noticed. I don't like regular wedges, but I do like broadening wedges. And this one would actually have a measure move into the 5,000s, I believe, or sorry, right below 5,000. If we did make the assumption that it does break out to the upside, yeah, right below 5,000 at 4,900. So again, it doesn't matter if you call it the right thing. I mean, it's basically going to be the same measured move, right? Although I guess the inverted head and shoulders people are going to be looking for like 5,500, so they'll be like $600 off, something like that. But overall, again, I don't think it's appropriate to really be looking at for something like this, because there's just so much resistances to the upside. I don't like playing long moves in an overall downtrend and an overall bear market. I like playing bearish patterns in a bearish market, and I like playing bullish patterns in a bullish market. When you play counter ones, it looks great. It looks great when you talk about it on good old crypto Twitter, but all you have to do is really get on the side of the overall trend, and that's going to be a lot more forgiving. So that's why I'm not really too. That's why I'd kind of be sitting back. I'd go back to cash, and I'd be looking for the next place to get short, just wherever we see like a loss of momentum to the upside. So there's three big places that could happen. The first one being 4,100. The first one being 4,100, or I mean, the first one actually being, the top of our triangle right now, going back to this 4 hour on BitMexico. Hey, where did my price action go? There we go. The first one would be this area right here that we've already hit it right now, and that's going to be it for this move. The second one would be this guy right around here, 4,100, the measure move, this symmetrical triangle breaks out to the upside. And then if Bitcoin does break out that area, well, you do have 4350 right here, just that kind of prior swing high. Then you got 4550 right over here, and then perhaps the measure move of the broadening wedge. So a few things to be aware of. One of those is going to be a great trade. One of those is going to be a phenomenal trade. The question is, and the real skill now is to, be setting myself up for this next trade. Until that happens, I'm just kind of sitting back. By the same token, this can also break out to the downside. So this is, again, going back to the non-black and white thinking of trading. And this is where I think a lot of people will get really turned off by this, because, what I'm going to say is it doesn't matter what my opinion is right here to make money. All you have to do is just wait for confirmation on this pattern, and these patterns do work out pretty damn well. Now you will see a lot already, and I'm seeing this already on fucking crypto Twitter. People think that this is a breakout to the upside right over here. It's not. Look at the volume right on this. Again, the difference between someone who just goes on fucking InvestP and says, "Oh my god, we're breaking out right now, 6,000." It's like, no. This is consolidation. This is all consolidation right over here. Look at the very orderly drop off in volume. Look at the very obvious pattern that we have going on right over here. And, overall, again, I'll just leave it at that. Anyways, if it does break out to the downside, then not only do we have the measure move again pointing us all the way down here to this what was it, around about 3450-ish area, but very, very likely you come back down to visit your prior lows right over here. So, a lot of people looking at that, or sorry, not a lot of people looking at that one. A lot of people are looking at this to be broken out to the upside, which does make me think, does make the conspiracy theorist in me think that it probably does break out to the downside. I mean, overall, when you have an overall downtrend for the last fucking over a year, I'm gonna go with that trend until the end of the trend. And it just everyone wants to be Mr. Bottom Catcher going for the reversal, but it's until it's actually confirmed, you're playing with fucking fire, and you're gonna end up like good old Tony Vase over there buying every $100 down on the downside right over here, thinking that's a reversal. And his friend, I tuned into a Tone Vase broadcast like a week or two ago, and he had this other guy on. I think I forget what his name. I think it started with an N, and just the way that they talk is so fucking funny because they have like, I can't imagine someone talking to someone else like that in real life where you just like talk downwards. It's like, I can't even do an impression of him. Like, it's so fucking strange. It's just like, do you talk to people like that? That's very interesting. That's very fucking interesting. Good. Must be an interesting life. I'll put it that way. But both of those guys hopefully getting humbled by now, or at least pretty fucking wrecked by now, because they've been calling bottom every fucking $100 or $200 down. So I'll just kind of leave it at that. For now, the right trade to be doing is just fucking waiting. Okay, so let's go see where CMEs are, because there's actually a few clues in these guys right over here. CMEs, remember, did have that nice gap around 36.50 right over here, coming into the open yesterday night at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So that will certainly still come into play. This has not been filled, and if Bitcoin does pop back down into this area, that's actually probably going to be a buy from me. That's going to be a buy, and by the way, that's going to be, no pun intended, by the way, that's going to be the actual, if it did come back down around here, that would just be tapping the lower support of this symmetrical triangle, right? So if Bitcoin does come back down around here, I will be a buyer, and I will actually want to get to neutral before resolution of this pattern, and then I'll just uncover or add long, depending upon which way that actually gets broken. So that's essentially my strategy right here, right now, and really all there is to be doing. By the same token, to the upside, you actually do have a nice gap right over here, right? Has this been filled or has this not been filled? Well, I would, when in doubt, I would say that it's not filled, just because I want to see things, you could make the argument that it's been filled. You don't always have to get like right up to that next dildo body. You can see that I actually have an alert right here. But when you get like an actual dildo body shoved right in there and just stick it up right in there, then yes, it's a lot more obvious, and it makes a lot more sense. And in this area right here would be coming in around the top of that symmetrical triangle, right? Somewhere right around here. Well, actually, on spot exchanges, you did fill the gap at 38.70. Let's go back now, right around here. Let's see where this one is. Yeah, right around 38.50, 38.60. So I would, did it fill it? Did it not fill it? You can make the argument for both, and I'd say it's still, I think just playing the triangle right here is the thing to be doing. It's going to encompass it either which way. But the question is, would it be a seller if we made another stab at the upper resistance? Well, going back on over here, I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it. But what I'm really looking for here is volume and then a break of this pattern. That's what I'm looking for, and that's going to be the big signal for this thing. Let's see if GBTC has any sort of indications right over here. GBTC looking very, very droopy, actually. GBTC not looking good at all. In fact, GBTC, which has been a great leading indicator for Bitcoin himself, looks very unhealthy right now, and returning to its prior lows when Bitcoin actually spot exchanges did not get anywhere near. They actually held up around the 3,600 level. So is this going to continue to be a great leading indicator? Well, it's been so for the last year, making moves before spot exchanges. So again, this would be a competing narrative to what I said at the beginning of this stream about Kraken, whatever the fuck. But basically, GBTC is already kind of filling out that descending triangle that I've been speaking about, because overall I am bearish. Overall, I do believe Bitcoin is going to be going lower than its current lows, but to actually time a trade like that, it's going to be very difficult right now, because this low 3000s areas is likely to become like a muddy territory where Bitcoin kind of gets stuck around, just kind of like you got stuck around 6,000. Not you, but Bitcoin himself. I don't know why we say like you or we, like we did this, we went to 5,000. Like, no, Actually, you didn't do shit. You sat on your ass and watched pixels on your computer screen. Bitcoin did something which you I don't know. Never mind. Too many autistic rants right now. But if we put on the 200 simple right over here, it's, I don't like getting positional bearish until this guy's broken down around here, which is going to be coming in right around this lower support, right around 3250-ish area. The red 200 simple moving average, which is currently around 3230. So that's close enough. It's close enough. If that area does break, then yep, the next area that I look towards is this next blue box territory around the 886 Fibonacci retracement. Understand that this can take a long time, and I do believe that this is going to take a long time as Bitcoin probably oscillates between these areas. I mean, it could take a few months. Again, there's no way to know it until we actually get a break of that. That's the time to be taking a trade. So you don't need to know time, but I'm just saying, don't be one of the people who gets extremely bullish when you're at the top of a range right over here, just testing your purple 200 exponential, and don't be one of the people who gets extremely bearish when you're just still above the 200 simple moving average right over here. You're gonna get wrecked, going both ways. The best thing to be doing is waiting. Right now, the way to be looking at this is from the weekly dildo time frame, seeing that you essentially had a very nasty about 50% drop going on from here to here, and now we're going to do some consolidation as you would typically do after a very big move, just like very, very similar you did right over here. In fact, these are eerily similar, by the way, with the volume signature going on right over here, going on right over here. I mean, again, what I'm looking for, and I guess I'll give a little bit away right now, but what I'm looking for to denote capitulation in the more general sense for Bitcoin is I want to see volume analogous to what you did over here in your parabolic market cycle, just like you did over here in your capitulation phase to this parabolic phase right over here. And then I'm also looking for, time spent at the lows. I definitely don't want to see days spent at the lows, but I want to see like less than an hour spent at, within like 5 to 10% of the actual low. There's some sort of a doggy getting beat up in the hallway. Apparently, I don't know if you guys can hear that. That's a terrible thing to say. But it's highly distracting too. Jesus Christ, man. And then the third and final is I want to see, again, a big percentage move. Doesn't need to be exactly, like 20% in a day, but it needs to be something, in the ballpark vicinity. If you want the full-on explanation of that, if you want like super in-depth, go check out my long-term analysis playlist on my YouTube, and the video that I uploaded Sunday, that will go through all of that in great detail. I don't want to go through it here because it's just going to get redundant. But overall, this phase right over here, very similar to this phase right over here. You had a pretty big drawdown. You came down about 50%, just like we came down about 50% right over here. Yep, there you go. It's almost, again, it doesn't need to be identical, but very, very similarly. Everyone thinks that this is the bottom right over here, and then you just kind of, you actually do put in a higher high right over here on the weekly, just ever so slightly. But again, rejections being held by all major moving averages, and then down. So again, looking at this sort of thing right over here, this is kind of what I'm looking for. It doesn't need to be exactly like this. Market cycles, they do have a lot of similarities because it's really comes down to psychology. We're not really looking at Bitcoin right over here. We're looking at psychology related to Bitcoin, human emotion, the human emotional response to Bitcoin, actually. You can tell that I've been drinking a lot of coffee because my words are flowing today, and actually haven't had coffee in a week and a half, 2 weeks. But I'm actually feeling all right now, so it's back on the coffee train, which also starts a shit train as well. So it's really, really good, but not from my toilet. Anyways, yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for right over here. You can see that we're playing on different exponentials, but that's not the important thing. The important thing is that we're consolidating after a nice, about 50% move downwards. And there's kind of like an ancient knowledge about market cycles, essentially, about capitulation in a market cycle is what I should say. And capitulation usually happens after you have an extremely big down. Everyone thinks that the low's in. Sounds familiar. Everyone's been extremely obnoxious on social media venues. Sounds really familiar. Everyone's getting unbelievably and unreasonably bullish when nothing really has changed. Sounds kind of familiar. And then price drops another like 50%. Doesn't need to be exactly 50%, but somewhere around there, something similar to that. And that's when the actual low is put in. And what do you have right over here? Well, again, you had your 50% drop, and then actually another 62% drop right over here. So, where would that put Bitcoin if you were to actually drop that from right over here? Well, again, 50% would be around that low 2000s area. So that would actually be pretty damn near the lower blue box territory. So I do like this area. If Bitcoin does break 3200, the 886 Fibonacci retracement, some nice horizontals coming from this historical action right over here. We got the volume profile also showing some nice thick AF nodes. Getting over there, yeah, higher volume node than what you actually did at 6,000. And also just in general, the 886 Fibonacci retracement does seem to get respected and does seem to get a lot of love on Bitcoin in general. That's actually where you did bottom out in 2014. Just saying. So that would be an area of interest. If that area does fail, then I'd be looking towards about 1850. If that area fails, then I guess I would join the camp of looking for 1100 to 1300. But again, I think it's a little bit too early to be getting that there. Again, I don't understand how people can say that Bitcoin is definitely going down here when you have some areas of potential reversal higher. That's just not the way that you can really do technical analysis in a more applicable sense, in my experience. You have to be able to roll with the punches, and when a bottom really does get put in, it's not because you hit a specific level. It's because someone with extremely deep pockets, typically an institution, because they have bankrolls of crazy fucking money, they will come in, they will say this price is good enough, go fuck yourself, everyone else, and buy everything up, and that's why you get that very, very, clear signature in the volume structure and also the percentage move to the upside, because the price action is not going to be returning anytime down there anytime soon. So again, these are the areas that would kind of make sense, but at the end of the day, man, I'm looking for price action to tell me, not necessarily one of my static areas. Again, the market is never wrong. The market's never fucking wrong. Only you are wrong. And I know that's very difficult for some people to swallow. You can learn everything that you can learn about technical analysis, but at the end of the day, it's all a statistical game. That's all it comes down to. So there, the way that I use it is to know that when I'm wrong. Hourly is about to be closing in the next 36 seconds right over here. Again, another test of the upper resistance of this. So still within range, still no volume confirmation on a break. Are we closing any other time frames? Did we just close the 2 hour right over here? Yeah. So we just closed the 2 hour and the 4 hours. So maybe the 3 hours closing right now. Let's see. Where's our 3 hour? Maybe this is the highest one that's closing right now. Yeah, so 3 hour right over here, still getting rejected from the 200 exponential, by the way. And 5 seconds left to go. Looks like it's very, very likely to close underneath this around 38.07. So, but also a good reaction off this guy right over here. So, things disagreeing with each other. 3 hour actually looks a little bit more healthy than the other time frames. But again, I wouldn't be playing this until we actually have resolution on this formation. And I'd probably, to have a support right over here. I mean, it works, but it's not the important one. You could do one right over here as well, as that's what's kind of holding up price action right now. It's kind of it's got some good symmetry in here, as a good symmetrical triangle would. But okay, so yeah, we talked about that. Couple external things disagreeing with each other. So we have Kraken, boosting up. We have what was the other one? I forget. And then we have, the other exchanges, CMEs and GBTC, saying probably down. So that's what I'd be aware of right over here. Now let's get rid of this guy and go right on back to the lower time frames. So let's see what happens now. Now comes the fun part, the waiting game. Let's go bring up SPYs while we're at it. And SPYs are pretty traditional markets are pretty damn good in understanding what's going on in Bitcoin as well. Where you come down and you have all these things being resolved. You have your head and shoulders measure move being resolved down around here. You have your you have your daily dildo death cross right over here. We spoke about all of this in real time. Once you got this rejection right over here, that was the actual time to be taking a half position, then full position on this rejection right over here. So now it's the same thing as Bitcoin. If you're looking for the directional trade, there's not really one to be had right now. You hit all your measure moves, you hit everything that you're looking for. You even hit the 200 simple really fucking fast down around here, just like Bitcoin. But unlike Bitcoin, this one actually did close above the 200 exponential on the same dildo. So it's not looking as bad. And I am looking for a rally basically sometime this month, somewhere around the yellow 21 exponential. So we will be opening up for the first day of business today, actually. And that's when I would imagine we do start getting some movement overall. Are these going to be positively correlated or negatively correlated to crypto? Well, typically they actually have been positively correlated. So on the big moves, again, people disagree with me on that, but they're both in fucking downtrends. Like, just if you have just a couple days or a week or whatever it might be of like contra moves, but still the same trend, it doesn't fucking matter, okay? They're not, we haven't seen a hedge into Bitcoin or anything like that. In fact, Bitcoin looks a lot worse right now, going down for about a year, whereas SPY's been going down for about a month. But hey, a rally back into this area right over here. That's the next one that I'm really looking for. I think best seen maybe on the daily to low time frame. There's a bunch of resistances that could potentially play off of on this current rally. We are back above this 248 level, so I'd be looking for that to be your preliminary support. Next resistance coming in right around here, 254. Also going to be lining up with your daily 21 exponential. That's going to probably be the next big area that I'd be interested in. If that area gets rejected, well, you already know what to do. But if that area does, if SPY does take out that area, then you'll have resistances along the way. But I'd be really looking for somewhere around 260ish area. So again, keep that in mind if you are trading that one. Again, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Blah 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 blah. Let's go check out Ripple's over here. Ripple's interesting. Ripple is interesting right over here. Let's go to the 3 days. So 3 days is the one that I want to be keeping my eyes on, as lower time frames do seem to lie a lot on this guy. But 3-day dildo death cross right over here. As long as you're below the 21 exponential, I play that out, and that would suggest returning back to your prior lows right over here, right around 27 cents or a little bit low. If you do take out that area, then high teens is what I'd be looking at. By the same token, if Mr. Ripples does close above 30, about 38 cents above the yellow 21 on the 3-day, then that actually changes the picture a little bit, and I wouldn't see much. I'd probably be looking for a move into the low 40 cent area, right around 42 cent. But as long as you're below 46 cents, it's not too much to be looking at. So again, let's go check out Mr. Buterol's on our Bitfinex exchange. Where are we, Mr. Buterol's? Where are you? Is that you? Buterol, is that you? Yeah, that's him. Okay, so Buterol is doing something different over here, and or potentially doing something different. You have the 3-day dildo death cross, just like you have on pretty much everything else, but you're actually living above the 21 right now. We will be closing this 3-day dildo, not tonight, but tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So a lot of time for this one to get faked out either which way. But if it does close above the 21, I would be looking for longs on this. Actually, I will be looking. I mean, I don't trade fucking Buterol or anything like that. And again, it's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. But if I were trading this in this exact sort of same situation, I would be looking for longs. Probably back up into this range right over here, 170 to 180ish area, and that's going to be the next big trade. Again, event-driven shit, so I don't really like playing that to begin with. But you would still have the 618 fib to fuck around with right over here. So that did actually stop this past prior run. But if this area does get taken out, that's going to be in your way. But I do believe that you'd probably make your way up and formally test this area right over here, your former breakdown zone. So that is, that is a big counterpoint. So sorry, the two big counterpoints to Bitcoin immediately going down from here, or resolving this current pattern to the downside, would be one, Kraken having that major wick up, which actually has been a decent predicting factor in the past, and also Mr. Buterol potentially actually really changing something up new right over here. So keep your eyes on this one. Buterol has led the market in the past. Again, it is event driven, so I don't really, I don't really like it, but hey, just be aware of it. So I think that's probably going to cover up most of what I want to talk about. I guess I'll just briefly go over why I do not, I won't go over what I'm looking for a Bitcoin bottom, but I'll go over what I want to see in order to be out of bear market mode. So there's 4 or 5 different things I really want to see. I'll go over 4 of them right now. First things first, I want to see an uptrend on the daily. That's, the easiest thing to do, and Bitcoin has not been able to do it for the last over a year. So strike one. If Bitcoin could get back above, basically above this guy right over here, 4250 to 4300, that would be a good start. The second thing I'm looking for is I want to see a weekly dildo both opening and closing above the 200 exponential moving average right over here, which is currently around 4150. We haven't been able to close anything above it, so it's going to take a while for that to even happen on its own. So that's number 2, and that's actually a very important one. If that one happens, I would really start to change my tune overall. And then third and final, and the most important, and what would immediately make me switch me back into looking for long-term longs is Bitcoin back above 6,000, the breakdown point after this year-long consolidation around this area. Until all of those things happen, I'm going to be kind of a little bit skeptical. Although the weekly one, that would make me want to take a little bit of a position, or at least a quarter to a half a position. Now I will end this video pretty damn soon. But just the last thing is the last. You could also be making decisions off of the daily right here. It has been snaking around the yellow 20-minute exponential, both sides like taking turns reclaiming it and then not claiming it. But as time does whittle down, it becomes more and more likely to actually break. So whichever each and every time that one side gives it up, or if we were to rally off of this guy right over here, that's going to be your next big signal as well. But like I said, the lower time frames are where the action is happening right now, and don't really need to do anything more than that. You even have your 200 exponential kind of coming in around right around the action, and the 200 simple actually supporting it. But putting it into a formation, well, you got this guy right over here, and I'll wrap this guy up right here. If Bitcoin breaks below this lower support trend line, right around 3,700, then measure move takes you down to about 3,450. There will be support along the way, right around here, 3,580, and well, kind of this guy right up here. If it breaks out to the upside, well, things get a little bit more interesting, as yes, you do have big resistance right around here, 3,900. That's also your 200 exponential, but measure move would be pointing you up to about 4,100. If Bitcoin gets to 4,100, then it does start to change some things from the higher time frame perspectives, right? As remember, we do have this descending broadening wedge right over here. That would technically have a measure move all taking all the way to 4,900. So if it's like the domino effect. You will have major resistance right around 4,550, which I'd be aware of right over here. So again, to the upside, it's tricky. I'd still be looking for places to probably put on a short, but it's it's going to be one of those most likely. By the same token, to the downside, while I am overall bearish, while I do believe that this thing goes lower, I think it's going to take some time. I don't, until 3,200 essentially breaks on a weekly doodle time frame. You could get that same sort of shit that you got around 6,000. So, support to the downside, right? There is certainly support to the downside. Just be aware that it's probably going to take some time. But yeah, if it does break out to the downside, I'll be looking for a move ultimately going down to your prior lows right around the 3,300 area, give or take a few bucks. So that's going to do it for this video this morning. I will be doing a live stream later, as I feel like I'm good and energized and recovered enough. Sorry for like the past week of not doing a live stream. I've just been sick myself, and trying to like take care of my own health, and the holiday season, all that good stuff. So I think I'm back to normal right now. So I look forward to see you guys later. If not, well, I wish you the best of the best, the happiest of the happiest, and take care. I'll see you guys soon.